Hello and welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Aaron Porras.
And I'm Natasha Kirchuk. Coming up in today's newscast, President Rivlin begins his talks with the various parties ahead of coalition negotiations.
Israel unveils the first ever model of humanity's long-lost Denisovan cousins.
And a big congratulations to Team Israel because the national baseball team advances to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Well, it's finally time to start finding out what our next government will look like. Israeli President Rivlin is beginning consultations with the various parties, asking them who they suggest should be first to negotiate a coalition.
Yeah, and as things stand with no clear winner on either left or right, it's still anyone's game. But of course, we'll know more at the end of Rivlin's 2 upcoming days of meetings.
Now, the president will begin Sunday evening with each political faction in descending order by size, starting first with the Blue and White Party, which received 33 mandates, followed by the Likud with 31. And then, of course, he'll meet with the Joint Arab List, Shas and Israel Beitenu before Monday, when he'll sit with the representatives of the United Torah Judaism Party, Yamina, Labor Gesher, and the Democratic Union.
But even before the party heads give their support for any one Knesset member, what can we expect? While Prime Minister Netanyahu, Benny Gantz, Avigdor Lieberman, and now President Rivlin have all shown interest in a secular unity government, though many speculate that some party leaders are only suggesting such a unity as political lip service, especially as the Likud is now reportedly insinuating that they'll not support anyone for Prime Minister, so that Gantz will fail in the first round of negotiations. Meanwhile, Netanyahu also put together a right and religious bloc of 55 seats, opposite Gantz, who put together the left wing for 44 seats minus the Arab parties.
And Gantz is also already in talks with the Joint Arab List in order to secure a bloc of 57. The Joint List, however, has not supported any Zionist faction since 1992, and it does not have, well, it hasn't yet, a unified position among its members. All we know for sure, though, is that Avigdor Lieberman's Israel Beitenu party seems to be the deciding vote, unless Blue and White and Likud come together, which President Rivlin may try to force in the event of a breakdown of coalition negotiations.
Anything to prevent a landmark third consecutive election.
Meanwhile, outgoing U.S. Middle East peace envoy Jason Greenblatt has just held meetings in Israel with Prime Minister Netanyahu, U.S. Ambassador Friedman, and Israeli Ambassador to the U.S. Ron Dermer. And according to the White House diplomat, they discussed Israeli-U.S. relations, regional security issues, and the peace effort.
Greenblatt is also planning to meet with the heads of the various parties to get a feel for what's going on the ground in the wake of these landmark second elections. And this would be the first such meeting between senior White House officials and Blue and White leader Benny Gantz since he entered politics last year.
Greenblatt's trip to Israel was scheduled in advance of the elections in order to supposedly discuss the upcoming U.S. regional peace plan. But still, no details have come out, and neither Netanyahu nor Greenblatt have discussed the details of their latest conversations. Well, the U.S. President Donald Trump's so-called peace deal of the century was supposed to be released after the elections. It seems that it will be delayed yet again until after the coalition negotiations take place as well.
And that's because in the interim transitional government, such as the one in place today, it has limited powers, and it will not be able to legitimately negotiate any aspects of the deal anyway. Well, with that in mind, it seems that Greenblatt may stay on in his post for as long as it takes to unveil the plan. Greenblatt even indicated at a recent event in New York that he would try to stay until after the plan gets traction.
That being said, however, with the Palestinian Authority rejecting the deal from the very beginning, Greenblatt worries the plan will be dead upon arrival.
And now joining us for more on the upcoming coalition consultations, we have Simcha Rotman, Israeli attorney and legal advisor to the Israeli Movement for Governability and Democracy, or Meshilut, and journalist and commentator on international affairs, Tom Gross.
The party came today for discussion with the president. We're seeing multiple meetings that are about to take place. There are many people who are implying that the Arab parties, the Joint List will recommend Gantz, but we also haven't heard anything from them. Is this the end of Netanyahu? What is going to take place here?
I think that the short answer is we don't know, because some would say Netanyahu lost, but I would say that it's about the same situation we had in the first round. It didn't change a lot. So if Netanyahu lost, then he lost already in the first time, and now it's about the same thing all over again. He cannot form a coalition, but the other side also cannot form a coalition. And to count in the Arab list, in the first round, there were two Arab lists. Now it's a joint list.
Right.
But to count them in, it's not the fact that they are Arabs. No one is bothered by the fact that they are Arabs. But there are people within those parties that call the head of Blue and White, the Gantz, and the other generals, murderers.
Well, the bigger issue here is that Lieberman says that he's not going to sit with the ultra-Orthodox, he's not going to sit with the Arabs, okay? So, I mean, what stops Netanyahu from just agreeing on some type of union with Gantz on his own without dealing with Lieberman? That's also a possibility.
That's also the tragic thing for Lieberman is that if his mission will succeed, he will be left out. I don't see a reason, if Netanyahu and Gantz can sit together, that they need the middleman. They will take Lieberman and kick him out, and they will have a coalition without him, and stable coalition.
But can they sit together? Because Netanyahu is saying he has a 55
If they cannot sit together,
bloc.
Lieberman won't help them sit together. Lieberman is just an obstruction. So if Netanyahu and Gantz will be able, and President Rivlin says he's trying to pressure them into that, if they will succeed to sit together, they will probably choose either Haredi or right-wing, either ultra-Orthodox or right-wing parties, or left, or both, but Lieberman won't get anything. So what's interesting is that the people from Lieberman party, the smartest thing they can do, they can choose either be in the last positions in the opposition, sitting in the Knesset and doing nothing, or they just can leave Lieberman out and join the right-wing coalition. 6 people can have a coalition.
Well, let's turn to Tom here.
I want to hear, what is the international community saying about all this elections talk in Israel?
Well, I think they're as confused as anybody here because there's so many possibilities and permutations. So there's a lot of speculation. Although I am interested, given the fact there aren't any substantive policy differences on the issues which the international community cares about, namely issues with the Palestinians, issues with Iran, Gaza, and so on. There are no substantive differences in policy outlook between Netanyahu and Gantz. I am amazed at the amount of attention that prominent newspapers like the New York Times continues to give the Israeli election and process where, as for example, just 2 days ago in Afghanistan, the United States military admitted to accidentally killing at least 30 farmers in a misplaced drone strike. That has barely been mentioned. What's happening in Hong Kong, Kashmir, very important.
But people
Brexit,
care what's happening here with the election.
Well, journalists care. I'm not sure how many people care.
Well,
I think certain journalists care a lot. I'm not sure the public cares more about all these, global warming demonstrations and.
Well, Netanyahu,
so
he made his announcement that he was planning on annexing parts of the West Bank upon becoming prime minister once again, which obviously made headlines because people said now there's going to be no chance for a two-state solution if something like that takes place. So, I mean,
it was a brief headline, but on the other hand, he's made these kind of promises in the past, and also Benny Gantz immediately said they do something similar. So it's not like there's it's not like there was some active peace process going on. There is the Trump plan, of course, but as we've just mentioned, it may be postponed and so on. So I'm always taken aback by just how much attention is focused on this one conflict when there are about 130 similar conflicts around the world, most of which you've never heard of because no one cares about Papua New Guinea, but it's a serious conflict with lots of deaths and a long occupation.
Will that attention, or you could call it bias of attention, change at all if Netanyahu maybe were dethroned, so to speak?
I think that if Netanyahu is not the prime minister, or even if he's not the prime minister first off in a national unity government, there will definitely be a lot of interest in who is Benny Gantz. And I'm not sure that the media coverage will be that favorable. The one thing they know about Benny Gantz is he was head of the army, and on his watch, a lot of Palestinians died in Gaza, including civilians. So I actually
there was that Dutch case.
There's a Dutch case, yes, but I think there'll actually be quite a lot of negative coverage against Gantz, because somehow in the imagination of many people in the world, they think that without Netanyahu, peace will miraculously break out. And when it doesn't, the next day there'll be a lot of pressure, also here internally in Israel, on the fact that there probably won't be much movement on the so-called peace process because there aren't substantive policy differences. Plus, it takes two to tango, and we don't see any real movement.
Well, I think what we've gotten out of this interview is basically no clear answer to anything.
Yeah, we have a lot to think about here.
Well, we have a couple of days ahead of us to,
A couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks.
I'd say just
We'll
at least
see.
December till there's a stable
Yeah,
government.
at least
We'll see
until
what happens.
December. And
Tom
then
Gross,
possibly new
Simcha
elections.
Holtzman, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. All right, now, Israel is known for its unique kibbutzes, or kibbutzim, small socialist communities that have traditionally been based on agriculture. And there are over 250 of them across the country. And today, their factories and farms account for about 9% of Israel's output. Well, tomorrow, hundreds of kibbutz residents will sit together at a special hackathon to tackle some of the world's greatest eco-challenges. And here with the details is Michal Zoran, the International Trade Director in the Kibbutz Industries Association. Thanks so much for joining us. All right, so quickly tell us what is planned for this hackathon tomorrow.
So a hackathon is a maker's marathon, and in this marathon we are going to tackle some of the challenges of the kibbutz industries. Most of the kibbutz industries are located along the borders. All this party and festival of innovation in Tel Aviv is hardly, it arrives to those areas.
Right.
And our goal is to bring innovation and to enhance those.
So in the past, kibbutzim were specifically built in the periphery to help protect Israeli land. They were basically a means of defense for the country. And so what are some of the challenges that kibbutzim face today with the industries that they're running? What are some of the industries that they're running?
So most of the kibbutz industries are dealing with agrotech and different defense and medical industries as well. But agrotech is our main source of income, and this industry, it was based in the beginning to help make agriculture better.
So we're talking about growing crops, milk,
irrigation.
Well, we know that also, you have special challenges during the hackathon that you kind of give to the various teams. So what are some of the challenges that you're going to issue at the kickoff tomorrow?
So our hackathon is about sustainability and how industry can work and do sustainability and still provide and be very efficient. So this hackathon is going to take place in the Kinneret Innovation Center. And we are, near the Sea of Galilee, in a beautiful place. And we are going to tackle challenges like how to deal with a banana waste. So, the bananas, and once you eat the banana, you never think about the tree itself. And this tree waste can be a big problem and can prevent the farmer from being
Yeah, so there's also, one of the things that we were is that you're going to be developing straw from paper, how to recycle certain products. But what are some of the developments from last year? If you could just quickly tell us, because we're running out of time, we want to hear.
Who's the winner as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so last year we were, the hackathon was, the subject of the hackathon was developing countries. So one of the great solutions that was in that hackathon was a water system for schools in Ethiopia.
Cool.
Yeah, and great drinking water for schools that have no running water.
Wow.
So that the kibbutz industries have a lot of water companies dealing with great technologies, and they combine them together and could...
That's beautiful. Well, so it just goes to show that these small communities are impacting the world. Thank you so much for joining us and telling us about this. The Amazon forest in Brazil has experienced a horrendous season of forest fires, and now the Israeli startup Vegan Nation is on a mission to save the special ecosystem. They've actually leased 15,000 acres of Amazon land for protection. And here to tell us more is Nittany Manson. So Nittany, break this down for us.
Hi, guys. Yeah, that's right. So they have leased this huge piece of land in the Amazon because they want to protect it. Basically,
so it's not for building anything. There's no.
No, they're not going to build it. They're not going to ruin the land. Anything. They have basically taken this land. It's a 10-year lease, and they're saying we are going to protect it.
From deforestation, I imagine.
Deforestation, animal poaching.
Okay.
They want to protect indigenous people who are living there.
Yeah,
Exactly.
well, I mean,
yeah.
the
like, what are
fires
some
was
of
a
the
big
bigger,
issue.
Well, the fires are a big issue, and like, what are some of the? Let's go into that. What are some of the bigger issues that you touched on?
Well, I mean, when we're talking about the Amazon, we're talking about a piece of land that the Amazon used to cover 14% of the Earth, and now it's only 6. So it's shrinking drastically.
Yeah.
Humans, you can see with the fires that happened in August.
These images here.
It was basically caused by people. A lot of speculation as to what caused these fires that really are ruining the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Were because of deforestation attempts.
Right, and I mean, but this has been happening every year. It just happened to be all over the news right now.
Because the fires were so big
and
this
what will
time.
happen if we do not protect this piece of land?
There's every second that passes, 6,000 square meters of trees are being eliminated. And these trees are basically, they make up 20%, they create 20% of the world's oxygen. So if you're thinking about all the oxygen that we breathe, a lot of it is coming from the Amazon. And these fires, deforestation, getting rid of the trees
also eats up carbon dioxide. And,
I mean, it'll affect the entire
cools down
world,
the world,
100%.
sure.
137.
Animals will disappear as well.
Well,
I mean,
yes, so that's what I'm
not
saying.
to- yeah.
137 species of plants, animals, and insects go extinct every day.
some of which we've never even heard
We've
of.
never even heard of. We
Yeah.
don't know these animals that are going extinct. It's
all right,
insane.
so thank you, Vegan Nation, for
they're-
leasing this land, and thank you, Nittany, for coming here and telling us about this.
My pleasure.
All
All
right.
right, so I'm sure you've now heard of Neanderthals before, but you may not have heard of the Denisovans. The Denisovan is a relative of the human that is believed to have lived in Siberia and East Asia until about 50,000 years ago.
And get this, today researchers from Hebrew University in Jerusalem have used a 3D printer to make up a model of a female Denisovan. But how were they able to pull this off? Well, ILTV's Shanna Fold has the story.
It took 3 years of intense research using DNA extracted from a pinky bone found in a cave in Siberia. Evidence of Denisovans was found for the first time in 2008. Archaeologists dug up 3 teeth, a pinky bone, and a lower jawbone. The reason for the extinction of these early people is actually unknown. Researchers compared DNA patterns between Neanderthals, early humans, which is the group that has the closest anatomy to modern humans, and Denisovans to find the molecule that sets that group apart. The biggest differences between these groups are mostly in the shape of the skull.
First, we are all very much similar. So sometimes I ask myself if I would have walked in the street and there was a Denisovan walking there, which is shaved and his hair is cut and everything, would I look twice? And I'm not so sure. Maybe yes, but they are very similar to us. And I would say that they are more similar to Neanderthals in many ways. For example, they have a slanted forehead, a lower cranium, a more projecting face, things like this. And we have been especially interested in the ways that they look unique. For example, they have very wide skulls, very long dental arch, things like this.
The findings lend to the larger investigation, which examines what separates humans from other earlier species, as well as what characteristics they had that helped them survive and adapt to their environment. 6% of present-day Australians and other people from the oceanic region have Denisovan DNA. It is also thought that this type of DNA explains how modern Tibetans can live in high altitudes and how Inuits can handle freezing cold weather.
All right, it's time for our new weekly segment, Keep Olim. Now, Rosh Hashanah, or the Hebrew New Year, is just a week away, but for many immigrants to the Holy Land, or Olim, that can mean an evening alone, or at least far away from family.
That's right, but Keep Olim, the foundation, is looking to change that by pairing new Israeli immigrants with foster families for the holidays. And here to tell us all about it is Liami Lawrence, co-founder and CEO of Keep Olim. Liami, thank you so much for being with us.
Shalom.
So tell us about this project.
Oh, this is an amazing project that we've been doing for 4 years. In the 4 years we started for Rosh Hashanah and Passover, we have matched over 1,300 Olim with places to go.
So basically, I could come to you as an immigrant and say, hey, I need a family to hang out with on Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah, so we have forums in 6 languages
Okay.
because our Olim come from all over the world.
Right.
So we have
You
English,
probably need more than 6
English,
languages.
French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Russian.
Okay.
Over half the people that participate are Russian. A lot of them are for the first time celebrating something Jewish. And most of them
Former
have
Soviet
never
Union and-
celebrated anything Jewish before. So it's a very beautiful thing that we do because it's kiruv, it brings people closer.
And who are the families?
Yeah,
I
how
mean,
many
We
how
have
many host
beautiful
are
families.
involved?
We have lots of families that open up their houses to us from all over Israel, from Eilat to Metula, and every place in between. And people just, you're supposed to be opening your doors to people that have no place to go.
Right.
And this is something that's very, very beautiful. It's one of our best programs. Like, it really touches me.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, I remember what it was like to be here the first year and not be with your immediate family. So
Yeah, it's tough.
it can be tough to go through these holidays.
A lot of people are embarrassed to say they have no place to go.
Right.
And they're hoping at the last minute, our neighbor
Somebody
or
will
somebody's
invite
going to
them, yeah.
invite them. And here we avoid all that by just having them register with us. And they tell us what they want, and we
And
we
they
do it.
can and you can choose location.
Yeah. So
you-
there's some half of Kippulim is religious.
Okay.
So some of those people would prefer to go away for the weekends.
Okay.
Away for the
Or
Chag.
they don't have to transfer.
Yeah,
kind
right,
of
because they
drive
can't, because
around
they're
on Shabbat and
they're
yeah.
right, because they're Shomer Shabbat, and the other people just want a dinner and they're secular, and we have all different types of people.
Well, so one of my questions too is, do these families kind of stick together after the holidays?
So that
How-
is
how many
that
of
is
these-
the goal of what we do, is that you would stay friends after the holiday, and then you don't need us the next year when you have a place to go.
Sure.
And
Wow,
the beautiful
that's
thing is
amazing.
to bring people together from all over the world, and we just don't want to stick you at a table and you feel isolated at the table and people are speaking another language. So you're sitting under the table texting, wishing there was a
nobody
white
wants to be in that
Christmas or something
situation,
like
yeah.
that. You have your family back home. No, we want you to participate. We get you involved with people your own age and people. It's really nice.
Beautiful. Well, I mean, this
Hi.
is amazing, and
Yeah.
and for those of you, you're probably going to tell them if you want to sign
for
up.
those of you who want to support Keep Olim, please, this is an amazing initiative. Help support Israel's beautiful Olim or immigrant community by going to keepolim.org, where you can learn more and even donate.
and sign up.
Thank you so
Rosh Hashanah
much.
with a family.
Thank you so
Thanks for joining
Chag
us.
Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Tada.
And finally, big news coming from Italy today. The Israeli national baseball team has just advanced to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. And in fact, in an amazing game against South Africa earlier Sunday afternoon, the game ended in just 8 innings with a score of 11-1, meaning that Israel automatically qualifies for the coming Summer Olympics.
And this comes after first winning against Spain 3-0, followed by the Netherlands with an 8-1 victory. And the Netherlands, by the way, are the #1 ranked team at the moment.
So it wasn't easy.
It was not easy. Israel beat the Italian team 8-2 as well. It was only against the Czech Republic that Israel lost over the weekend, but that doesn't matter anymore. So let's go Israel. Congratulations.
Yes.
All right, now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Tonight should be partly cloudy with a low of 72 or 22 degrees Celsius. And then tomorrow it will be sunny, but with a welcome drop in temperatures to a high of 87 or 31 degrees Celsius.
Big difference right there. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
All right, and that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.52 shekels to the American dollar. For more news from ILTV, please like ILTV on Facebook and follow us on our Instagram. I'm Aaron Porras.
And I'm Natasha Kirchak. Thanks so much for watching.